Hello everyone, you are watching the channel Incredible Facts. Over the course of aviation's long history, many amazing aircraft have been created, which sometimes amaze with their appearance and technical characteristics. They were used for a variety of tasks and were really very popular. Today, we will show you the 10 most unusual aircraft of all time. Stipa-Caproni. The Stipa-Caproni was an experimental Italian aircraft designed in 1932 by Luigi Stipa and built by Caproni. It featured a hollow, barrel-shaped fuselage with the engine and propeller completely enclosed by the fuselage. In essence, the whole fuselage was a single ducted fan. Although the Regia Aeronautica Italian Royal Air Force was not interested in pursuing development of the Stipa-Caproni, its design influenced the development of jet propulsion. The Stipa-Caproni first flew on October 7, 1932, with Caproni Company test pilot Domenico Antonini at the controls. Unfortunately, the in-tubed propeller design induced so much aerodynamic drag that the benefits in engine efficiency were cancelled out, and the aircraft's top speed proved to be only 81 miles per hour. Northrop XB35. The Northrop XB35 was an experimental heavy bomber aircraft developed by the Northrop Corporation for the United States Army Air Forces during and shortly after World War II. The airplane used the then radical but potentially very efficient flying wing design, in which the tail section and fuselage were eliminated and all payload is carried in a thick wing. In June 1946, the XB35 made its first flight, a 45-minute trip from Hawthorne, California to Muroc Dry Lake, without incident. The aircraft was striking in its gigantic size and power. The wingspan of the Northrop XB35 was 172 feet, 52.5 meters. The flight range turned out to be less by 1,610 miles than planned, and the maximum speed by 24 miles per hour, amounting to 391 miles per hour. As a result, the Air Force canceled its order for 200 production aircraft. Lockheed XFP. The Lockheed was an American experimental tail-sitter prototype aircraft built by Lockheed in the early 1950s to demonstrate the operation of a vertical takeoff and landing fighter for protecting convoys. The XFP was powered by a 5,332 horsepower Allison turboprop engine, driving three-bladed contra-rotating propellers. To begin flight testing, a temporary non-retractable undercarriage with long-braced V-legs was attached to the fuselage, and fixed tail wings attached to the lower pair of fins. In this form, the aircraft was trucked to Edwards AFB in November 1953 for ground testing and taxiing trials. With the realization that the XFV's top speeds would be eclipsed by contemporary fighters and that only highly experienced pilots could fly the aircraft, the project was cancelled in June 1955. VZ-9 Avrocar. The VZ-9 Avrocar was a vertical takeoff and landing aircraft developed by Avro Canada as part of a secret US military project carried out in the early years of the Cold War. The Avrocar intended to exploit the Coanda effect to provide lift and thrust from a single turbo rotor, blowing exhaust out of the rim of the disc-shaped aircraft. In the air, it would have resembled a flying saucer. Originally designed as a fighter-like aircraft capable of very high speeds and altitudes, the project was repeatedly scaled back over time, and the US Air Force eventually abandoned it. In flight testing, the Avrocar proved to have unresolved thrust and stability problems that limited it to a degraded, low-performance flight envelope. Subsequently, the project was cancelled in September 1961. Dornier DO31. The Dornier DO31 was an experimental vertical takeoff and landing jet-propelled transport designed and produced by West German aircraft manufacturer Dornier. On the DO31, a pair of Pegasus engines were housed in each of the two inboard nacelles. During the vertical phase of flight, additional lift was provided by an arrangement of 4 Rolls-Royce lift engines located in each of the outer nacelles. The engines were equipped with nozzles with deflectors that deflected the flow of gases 15 degrees back or forward. The DO31 was the first, and so far only, vertical takeoff jet transport ever built. During April 1970, it was announced that the project had been terminated. One of the alleged contributing factors towards the DO31's cancellation was the relatively large drag and weight imposed by the lift engine pods, which reduced both the useful payload and range of the craft compared to conventional transport aircraft. McDonald XF85 Goblin. The McDonald XF85 Goblin is an American prototype fighter aircraft conceived during World War II by McDonald Aircraft. It was intended to deploy from the bomb bay of the giant Convair B-36 bomber as a parasite fighter. The XF-85's intended role was to defend bombers from hostile interceptor aircraft, a need demonstrated during World War II. McDonald built 2 prototypes before the Air Force terminated the program. The length of the aircraft was limited by the size of the bomb bay of the carrier bomber, 4.88 by 3 meters, and was only 4.5 meters, 15 feet. The aircraft had to carry normal and fighter weapons, 4 large caliber machine guns, and, according to specifications, could be launched and received by a carrier within 1.5 minutes at an altitude of 10,000 to 12,000 meters. AD-1. The AD-1 was both an aircraft and an associated flight test program conducted between 1979 and 1982 at the NASA Dryden Flight Research Center, Edwards, California, which successfully demonstrated an aircraft wing that could be pivoted obliquely from 0 to 60 degrees during flight. The unique oblique wing was demonstrated on a small, subsonic jet-powered research aircraft called the AD-1. The aircraft was flown 79 times during the research program, which evaluated the basic pivot wing concept and gathered information on handling qualities and aerodynamics at various speeds and degrees of pivot. The span of the trapezoidal wing, when positioned perpendicular to the fuselage, was 32 feet, 9.85 meters, and at a maximum turn, only 16 feet, 4.93 meters. The maximum flight speed did not exceed 248 miles per hour. Grumman X29. The Grumman X29 was an American experimental aircraft that tested a forward-swept wing, cantered control surfaces, and other novel aircraft technologies. The X29 was developed by Grumman, and the 2 built were flown by NASA and the United States Air Force. The aircraft first flew in 1984, and 2 X29s were flight tested through 1991. The flight test of the experimental aircraft confirmed the results that were already obtained while blowing in wind tunnels. The aircraft did not fall in flight even with very large angles of attack, and retained the ability to perform a controlled roll even at sufficiently low flight speeds. Douglas X3 Stiletto. The Douglas X3 Stiletto was a 1950s United States experimental jet aircraft with a slender fuselage and a long tapered nose, manufactured by the Douglas Aircraft Company. Its primary mission was to investigate the design features of an aircraft suitable for sustained supersonic speeds, which included the first use of titanium in major airframe components. Douglas designed the X3 with the goal of a maximum speed of approximately 2,000 miles per hour. However, it was seriously underpowered for this purpose and could not even exceed Mach 1 in level flight. Although the research aircraft was a disappointment, Lockheed designers used data from the X3 tests for the Lockheed F104 Starfighter, which used a similar trapezoidal wing design in a successful Mach 2 fighter. The Douglas X3 Stiletto was one of the most difficult X-series aircraft to build, but visually turned out to be one of the most attractive experimental aircraft of all time built in the United States. Proteas. The Proteas is a unique aircraft designed as a high-altitude, long-duration telecommunications relay platform, with potential for use on atmospheric sampling and Earth monitoring science missions as well. It was designed by Burt Rutten, president of Scaled Composites, and built during 1997 to 1998 at the firm's development facility in Mojave, California. Normally flown by 2 pilots in a pressurized cabin, the Proteas also has potential to perform its missions semi-autonomously. The Proteas was designed to carry an 18-foot diameter telecommunications antenna system for relay of broadband data over major cities. The aircraft is designed for extreme reliability and low operating costs, and to operate out of general aviation airports with minimal support. The aircraft is designed to cruise at altitudes from 50,000 to more than 63,000 feet for up to 18 hours. That's all, friends. Thanks for watching. Write in the comments which of the aircraft you liked the most. Also, click the like button and subscribe to our channel so you don't miss any new interesting videos.